bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here.
Having moved across the country to the state of Oregon in January of this year, I've been feeling the urge to go explore some pieces of the past in this new landscape I call home. So I planned a trip to visit a few of the closer abandoned places near me, and after what I would like to call an exhaustive amount of research, but was really no more than just looking up a few things on Google, I found a few good candidates. The shortlist came down to an abandoned logging camp near the base of Mount Hood, an old power station, and a single-room schoolhouse. With that wealth of information, I dragged my girlfriend, my friend Gage, and his friend Daniel onto an hours-long car ride to a part of the state I had never been to maybe find some structures still standing. Our first stop was the White River Falls Powerhouse, built in 1902, operating until 1963, and eventually being turned over to the state in 1974. This little power station was a major component in the powering of the Dalles and surrounding communities while it was operational. It harnessed its energy from the nearby White River Falls, and it now resides within a state park. Oh, and just for reference, the reason the audio in the next clip is so bad is this is what the waterfall sounded like the entire time.
Alright, so we're here at the Tig Powerhouse. It's a little bit of a test to get down here. You come down that way there, and the building is right behind me. We're going in there momentarily. And if we take a look here, that is what we're doing to get down. And yeah, we'll check in once we're inside. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous out here, right next to White Falls here. Just stunning. Onwards and inwards. Aye. This is not the easiest location to get to. It's definitely easier than some of the ones that are sketchy legally, but you got to be comfortable with the scrambling and such to get here. Now, this is a pretty cool place. It's a powerhouse from, I don't know the exact year. I'll probably throw it in with some commentary about here.
As I mentioned earlier, it was originally built in 1902, and it was originally owned by the Wasco Warehouse Milling Company, and the powerhouse later transferred ownership to the Pacific Power and Light Company, and eventually the state of Oregon.
But it's an old powerhouse from, I think, the 19 or 1800s. Draws power from this very fast-moving river here, coming down from White Falls. If you ask me how it did it, no idea. I'll probably have a bit in this video where I've done some research and figured it out for you, but this is it. We are here. Let's head inside now, I suppose. Absolutely beautiful inside here. Oh shit. Basement that I will probably end up squeezing myself into in a moment, for sure. Just so cool seeing all this technology. All this just to create some electricity. Wonder what was down there at one point. Oh, I'll be climbing up to get some good stock footage in a moment here. I just want to get an initial peek out of the way. Wow.
Now before we continue the exploration, let's get into the history. I will get into a brief history of hydroelectric power in a moment, though right now I have to tell you all something I learned during my research. In my hometown of Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the year 1880, a dynamo that was driven by a water turbine was used in a show in a theater within the city to produce arc lightning. Grand Rapids was also home to the first ever DC powerhouse. Just thought that was a neat thing, but on to the actual relevant info. Based on what I could find, the power plant was most likely one of the first waves of hydroelectric powerhouses built that would use AC current as opposed to the DC current used in the older style. It also, coincidentally, was one built the same year that the Bureau of Land Management was established, and this agency is now the second largest creator of hydropower in the United States. The system at this powerhouse, though I could not find any info on this exact location, most likely functions like any other hydroelectric station, by having the flowing water, in this case from the White River, flow through inlet pipes into a turbine in the station, turning it before being dumped out downriver. The turning of this turbine is what then in turn produces an electrical current that can be sent out and used as power.
Yeah, let's let him go down and check that. If we're
It's
screams,
just this whole area.
cryptic noises, you got the keys?
Nope.
He's got the keys? Do you want to jumpstart his car?
I can try.
Can you reenact a cryptic noise for me, please? That's cryptic.
It's just a little room. Hand me the camera though, it's kind of neat. What's down there?
Just a
Trash? Any needles?
no,
Yeah.
just a neat little gated area. I'm sure had a purpose in the past.
We got white boys in our cross place.
God damn it. There's some really neat stuff in this building. I don't know what any of it would have done. If anyone knows, like if anyone's familiar with how these power stations typically work, I would be incredibly interested to know what all of this was in the time that it was active, because there's just so many moving pieces, and obviously it's in a much worse condition than it would have been at the time, but like, wow, just so cool. There's a neat little beach here that looks super cool. I mean, river's moving a bit fast for me to want to swim in it, but it's neat. Here's the building. Oh, the old powerhouse.
I see it. It's also because it's electricity or something.
Yeah. That's the hole I was in. Definitely didn't notice the no entry authorized personnel only thing because we came from the other side. But yeah, super cool. This entire location. I mean, super easy to get to as well, which makes it even more interesting. There looks like there was more buildings at one point. I mean, all the piping and stuff goes all the way up there, which we will check out in a bit.
Me and Gage decided to scramble up a nearby rock face just because it looked neat, so here's the footage of that.
Pretty neat locale here. That's fucking awesome. The pipe going up there. Just all that power coming from this waterfall right here. So I did a little extracurricular activities.
And of course, by extracurricular activities, I meant scrambling my way across a steep embankment over the river to get to an area that was otherwise inaccessible.
And my God, is this view gorgeous. I even found a little alcove. It's not quite a cave, explore, but it is here. It is gorgeous.
And with that, we were on to our next location near the town of Friend, Oregon. Friend was built at the terminal end of the Great Southern Railroad, a rail line that would be the life force of Friend for the next 25 years until the depot was closed, and a mere 7 years later, the whole line was abandoned. Friend survived for a while after the railroad left, though it proved to be the demise of the town. The town was founded in 1903 by George J. Friend and was a bustling small town, though all that remains now is the schoolhouse, the cemetery, and the general store. Now let's see what the historic Friend Schoolhouse has to offer.
Alright, so here we are at the Friend Schoolhouse. It was built in 1909. This one's in a bit better condition than the one we'll be going to a little later, the Douglas Hollow Schoolhouse. That one's not upkept in the same way that this one is, but there's still a bunch of cool history here. There you are. These are some neat photos. The class of 1913. There she is. Same building. 1973 and the 100th anniversary in 2009. Wow. Oh wow.
There's one and there's like old cubbies. There's an eraser over there, an old chalk.
Not from the originals, like. Wow. This is incredible.
We ended up heading to Kingsley Cemetery, which is near Defer, another ghost town in the area. The town of Kingsley was short-lived, only lasting from the year 1893 until around 1920, when the post office in Kingsley finally shut its doors. The cemetery is all that remains of this small mark on Oregon history.
So we're here at a cemetery, not sure what the name is, I'll figure it out later. Out near Friend. And this tombstone, just the first one I saw, died in 1896, which is insane and tells me the rest of the cemetery is also going to be pretty cool. We'll find out. Pretty sick view as well. Got the mountain in the background there. Just drop dead gorgeous here. And these are died in 1882. So, yeah, everything in this cemetery is ancient. Wow. This person's grave is grown over. Oh, there's another one in there, too. Just taken over. This one tipped. Died in 1884. This cemetery is ancient. And they're saying they just found someone that was buried in 09 over there. Even more recent than I expected for this place. So buried in this briar patch is just this small grave. And that one over there, just deep within here. So cool. All of these graves are just so old. Oh, these two are kids. That just shows how fragile life was back then for these settlers. It's brutal. It just keeps going. All under the watchful eye of the mountain back there. Just beautiful grave sites here. And so many different families, which surprises me from the time this is from. Another one that someone that died in 09. There's a World War II vet. World War II vet. We're leaving the cemetery now, on to one last location, but this place is just gorgeous. Incredible Red Dead vibes out here. And for those wondering, this is the way you get to this cemetery. Just out in the middle of nowhere, barely marked on Google Maps, but holds dozens of people from a time long past. Most of those graves died in the late 1800s. It was a long time ago that this place was built. And it's just cool to see how similar the environment probably looks now compared to then.
No, I didn't have any extra footage of this location, so enjoy the freeze frame. Our last stop of the day was at the Douglas Hollow Schoolhouse. This schoolhouse has virtually no information available on it on the internet. If anyone knows anything, leave it in the comments. I would be very interested to know. All I could find is that it was turned from a schoolhouse to the Grange Hall in 1906 and that it was in operation till 1913. It has been abandoned since. The Grange Hall, I assume, was part of the Grange, also known as the Patrons of Husbandry. These halls often were community meeting places, and I would assume this was a short-lived function of this building after the school closed. I do not know when the building was built, and I cannot find any trace of that on the internet. It's entirely possible that this building was built very close to the date that it stopped operating, but it could have been there for much longer. We really don't know unless someone else has information on it.
So we've arrived at our last location of the day. This is Douglas Hollow Schoolhouse. Built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, I believe. I'll throw in a note here. And yeah, just stunning. Oh yeah, there is a bird shot. We're just out here, and I apologize for the wind, but we are just out here in the middle of like what we figure is a glacial valley.
Bird shot again, buckshot, probably slugs right here.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is like legitimately entirely original. Wow. This is stunning. Like the original slatted roof right there for the plaster to adhere to. Like everything about this is original. Wow. Have a view out of the back of the school. Oh, this would be a killer smoke spot.
Speaking of,
Oh,
we do have two more joints.
let me hit a couple photos.
Yeah, you can do your thing and then
Wow.
come on. The other one had a coffee tin in the room. Okay, fucking riddled with.
Wow. Anyone that's more familiar with the construction techniques and stuff back in the day when this would have been built, let me know how much of this you think is original to the structure. Oh shit, there's an attic. This schoolhouse is just incredible that it is still standing after so long. To think that like well over 100 years ago there was kids getting an education as much as you could back in that time in this very building out here in the middle of just farm country between mountains. It's just incredible to think that this is how the pioneers lived. Though I would be more interested to see how the native populations that had lived here before lived, how they sustained themselves on land that looks to be basically void, though that could just be because of the grass or crops rather.
That wrapped up our day of adventure, so here are some of the photos we got that day, and I will be including the only historical photo of Douglas Hollow Schoolhouse that I could find. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you